Yes, sir. What's going on, everybody? We back at it. The Prefect Perspective, the Perspective Podcast. We're lit. In fact, hold on. Before we got that little extra work going on.
You don't want to hear the sanding?
Nah, we ain't gonna let them hear our broker in the side room going at it, demolishing both bathrooms at the same time. No one's hand washing or using the bathroom today, boy. You better hold it or let it go.
Pretty much. We got a trash can outside. It ain't that bad.
You make it happen. We all men here. Listen, today we have a special guest. Very happy to introduce one of our fellow realtors. I always say it's not a competition here. We're peers. We all got to work together in some way, shape, or form or capacity. And today we have Mr. Alex Pryor, our commercial real estate expert, going to be talking to you guys. I'm going to let him speak to you real quick.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to shake y'all hand real quick. Thank you for having me on the pod. I appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. Yeah, so my name is Alexander Pryor. I'm a licensed residential commercial realtor right here in the state of Connecticut. I've been doing this for over 8 years. I started, I think it was around 2018. Started pre-COVID and went through all the craziness. So I'm just excited to be a part of this podcast, drop a few gems.
That's what we do.
That's what we're looking for, right? So now that we've gotten the introductions out of the way, can I get like a little background? Let me touch that out. Can I get a little background as how you guys met each other?
Oh, yeah. So how we met initially was I have a commercial listing on Franklin Avenue. And I'll be honest, it wasn't too much movement on that listing as far as for sale. And the owner wanted me to put it up for rent. So I put up the first part, then I put up the second. It's a 2-unit building. And as soon as I put up the second unit, Ryan called me, and I thought it was a joke because I was expecting everybody to rent out the second unit that was finished. But when Ryan called me, he was like, no, we're interested, and they're looking to put up a church. And funny part, I was praying when you called me. So I was like, God, you answered my prayers.
Real talk. Yeah, and he answered my prayers. You know, some things kind of fell through with the transaction, but it's always good to meet new people. You know, Alex and I, we both, felt each other's energy, good vibes. I always like to see another, minority in the real estate industry and doing well. Although we do a decent amount of transactions here, we don't touch on the commercial real estate a lot. So we haven't brought a lot of information to the people about it. Whether you're ready or not, here we come. Alex is here. He's going to give you some information about working with commercial real estate, the ups, the downs, the good and bad and stuff.
So I'll be honest with you. So as far as like my experience in commercial real estate, it hasn't been as long as residential, right? But I would say there are some similarities, right? So obviously in residential and commercial, everybody wants a deal, right? But commercial is just a little bit different. I would say commercial buyers are very just cut and dry, right? In residential, it's going to be a little bit more emotional, where I actually could have the right house for you, but let's say your wife doesn't really like the kitchen, right? Or let's just say on that day, you guys just weren't feeling it. I've seen this happen with clients where they'll pass up on a good house, we'll circle back and it's gone. Commercial, it'll be slow, and then all of a sudden you get a call and you got to be ready to go. And it's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? It's very cut and dry. Yeah.
Definitely.
I'll go a little bit longer too. So in residential, usually agents are trying to get as many listings and get as many sales as possible. I would say in commercial, it's the same thing, but what you will see is you will see patterns. So in residential, it's different people a lot, right? In commercial, you'll see the same names start to pop up and you'll say, wow, this family owns half the block and I did not know this, right? So it is empowering to see how certain families or certain groups here in the state of Connecticut own a lot of property. And I honestly will say, talking to most of them has been great experiences. Like residential, sometimes when you cold call people or you reach out, not everybody's in the best mood, right? They think you're a telemarketer.
Right.
But if you call somebody with 20, 30 doors and you have opportunity for them, they will actually spend time with you. It's crazy. Yeah.
That's awesome. And you spoke about cold calling. So 8 years before COVID, you've seen the difference in the market pricing, the person-to-person contact. How do you think everything we went through COVID and things like that have changed the industry? And that could be on either side of residential or commercial real estate.
So I would say on the residential side, obviously the prices jumped crazy during COVID. It was insane. There was a point where, appraisers weren't even going inside the house. They would drive by the house and take a photo, and that's how you get your appraisal done. I've seen clients make blind offers, right, without even seeing the house. I've even had a client during that time made an offer without seeing it. The property actually reflected how it was in the photos. Sometimes it doesn't happen that way. Sometimes you get like property catfish, right?
Terribly.
But I would just say when COVID hit, everything became super fast. If you were a listing agent, you were making fast money. If you were a buyer agent, it was rough because you were having your client like offer $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 over and it's still not getting it. So you do like 20, 30 showings. It really put a toll on the buyer agent and the buyer during that time. And I would honestly say like the biggest shift that I saw was this shift that NAR did with the commission, where sellers now do not have to ask for buyer agent commission. Excuse me, I'm coming off a little cold. But how do I approach that? So I would say the nature of negotiation has changed due to that, right? To where your commission initially was locked in and it seemed like it was a little bit easier to negotiate like seller concession. But now that the commission is not locked in and you're fighting for seller concession, it's almost like the buyer agent can be competing with their client in a sense. Who could get more seller concession? Who can get more commission? And I feel like that change definitely affected the game because you have to think about, let's say you're a single parent and you just showed 30 houses and now the seller says, hey, I'm not paying your commission. The buyer has to pay it. But the buyer is literally paying off credit cards, working extra hours just to get the property. And that definitely changed the nature of the game or the business, excuse me.
Right. And more on that, I feel like that's certainly added a level of weight to the already difficult interaction between agents and their buyers.
Yeah.
It's interesting, though, because if we think about the nature of the way we were paid prior to that, wait a minute. Is this going to be a lawsuit? Is this going to be a lawsuit if we talk about it?
This is a touchy subject.
Because they were saying some stuff.
This is a touchy subject. It is.
The only thing I'll say is not anything particularly in what they did and how they implemented it. Mm-hmm. It's just that we always knew that ultimately we were paid by the seller.
Yes.
It doesn't really mean that we work for the seller. It just really means that the way that we structure everything, we are a sub-agent to the listing agent.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it was never really the case that we didn't have to get paid from that side. So now we really have to go out and ask.
Yes.
Now we have to, like you said, negotiate. And I feel like what that adds to is the cutthroatness of this industry.
It does.
So
yeah.
Just like you indicated the difficulties.
We'll cut that out. I'm coming down off like a double flu, but I'm good. So y'all not gonna garlic work. I got the garlic and some cooking, but I didn't take the straight up garlic. I'm not gangster like that.
Wait, real quick, what's that? What's this garlic? Thanks.
So I don't know if I can fully talk about it, but if you do your research on garlic, because I work for a Native American holistic specialist. Oh, wow. So I'm giving away one of them gems that Alex was talking about to speak to the fact that garlic is the most powerful antibiotic on the planet. Wow. Stronger than any antibiotic that could be prescribed for you from a doctor. So therefore, if you're feeling any type of sickness, flu, infection, a garlic clove once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, once you get your tolerance up, will whip you back to shape. So
I know that. I'm
telling you, it's big. But so back to what you were saying, though, which I think is really important. which I think another thing we have to make understood, aside from kind of taking the commission off the MLS, which was a new thing, sellers could always refuse to pay. Just a lot of us weren't taking advantage of that. The change in the commission definitely highlighted that, and it become more of a thing now that's expected. This is what the association decided to do. Do you think the taking the commission off the MLS, because we touched on this on the last episode, the live, was a good thing or a bad thing? Like, do you think that helps the process or hurts the process, not being able to see the commission when you log in like that? And do you think that was like a good thing for them to remove it? Do you think it was like causing issues in the industry?
So how I'll respond to that is, it kind of depends on the realtor and the transaction, right? So if I am how do I say this? So I was always told, like, if you want to survive in real estate, you have to stop thinking like a realtor and start thinking like a businessman, right? And if you're more of a business mind oriented realtor, and you see a commission on a house that's paying out 3% versus a commission that's paying out 1%, and it's listed, will that change your discretion? Will that change how you're showing the house? Will that give you more incentive to show this house more than the other one? Even if the 1% commission house is better for your client and they like that, is that still going to have an effect on how you show the house? And I would say for most people, if you pay me more money, I may go with that route, right? Not saying that I'm going to work harder or be less compliant, but if I can make more money on selling this house, then I'm going to go for that one first, right? So I do feel like that whether they include it on there or not, just the simple fact of the change that the seller no longer has to pay the buyer agent does change the nature of negotiation, right? But not having it on there does leave it up to the listing agent to kind of pick and choose how they're going to pay out, right? So I will say, this is a tough topic. I will say, you got to watch out with this. So I will say, depending on if you know that other realtor or if you're on the same brokerage, I don't know if these factors would actually influence how much the payout is. But I have seen, right, because what realtors don't understand is realtors know a lot of realtors. And sometimes you could be on a transaction, somebody may issue you a higher payout or a lower payout than they did with someone else, right? Have I seen that? I don't know. Is it happening? Could be possible. Yeah.
Nice. No, it's a politically correct answer, and I think that
he's trying to be politically correct in a mug.
Just like to wrap it up. The end of my statement is that this adds a level of difficulty for new agents that they did not have to grapple with.
Oh my God. I could not imagine being a new buyer agent right now and showing all those houses, taking all those phone calls and hearing that the seller doesn't want to pay me. So I think there's a statistic like 90% of realtors quit the first year and never do it again.
Right.
If I experienced that when I first started, I probably would not be here right now. Because my first year, I only closed like 6 deals, and each deal was like hell, right? But man, they were all buyer agent deals, right?
Right.
But it was just enough for me to be like, hey, I can do this, right? You know?
No, it was definitely a lot of your hard work entering the industry and seeing the fruits of your labor in that first year, and knowing how difficult deals can get.
Yes.
I can never say any of those are easy. I guarantee you worked for that first year. You worked hard,
man.
And that's the nature of real estate, really. Like, your buyers are going to be your pipeline.
Yes.
And when people mention the word pipeline, it's your buyers. Truthfully, your sellers will come.
Yeah.
Of course, that's eventuality.
Yeah.
But if you're not working with buyers, you're not really working your sphere of influence, they will always end up being buyers, then it's even more hard. It's far harder. It's like almost 2 times as hard. So not only do you have to grapple the interpersonal like BS that you might run into between your lovely sellers and your lovely buyers, all great people.
We love them all. We love them.
Not only do you have to navigate that, but you got to make sure the other agent isn't trying to stiff you into a 1%. That,
oh my God.
you know, maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't. Depends on who you work for, because there's 1% brokerages. Not to put those guys down. You're doing something for somebody.
Yeah, if it's 1% on 10 million, let's do it. But if it's 1% on 100,000, it's like, come on,
Like,
what are we doing?
I'm wiping sweat. So
Yeah.
as for that topic, we talked about it without
Yes.
getting arrested.
Yes.
I'm sure we're not getting carted off.
Can I add in one more thing? So
Go ahead.
even with the NAR change, I will say, right, on the good side of it, it does put power into the agent's hand initially when they sign the contract. So if you are a listing agent, go for a higher commission and know that I may have to chuck a point or a percentage over to the buyer agent, right? Or I may have to say, hey, Mr. Seller, or so you wanted to net this amount. In order to close and net this amount, this agent is looking for this commission. Now on the buy side, right, depending on the nature of the loan, let's say if we have a loan where there are loans called time to own where they'll pay for your closing costs and your down payment.
Right.
Or a VA loan where 100% of the down payment and acquisition is baked into the loan, right? There are chances for the buyer agent to win, right? You just have to be savvy and you have to sit down with that buyer and say, because when I first started working, the question that I always got from buyers was, so how do you get paid? After sitting down, after showing them houses, after giving them information, they would say, so how do you get paid? And I would say, you don't pay me, the seller pays me. And they would go, oh, good. And this is family and this is friends, right? And you have to sit there and smile how you are and be like, right? But basically, in the buyer's mind, they're like, I don't want to pay you and pay for the house, right?
Right.
But think about how many buyers have said that to you. You did a bunch of showings for, you never talked to them again. You never bought anything with them. Not saying that you were in the red off that transaction, but all that energy you put into that one buyer, you could have probably listed 4 or 5 houses.
Right.
You could have probably called $4 or $5 million houses, but maybe you felt like, oh, I'm not good enough to call these houses. Yes, you are. Look at all the energy you're putting into this one person who doesn't want to pay you, right?
Right.
So this is a chance for the buyer agent to filter out tire kickers and people who are wasting your time and find the right buyer. Because what I'm realizing now is I have less buyers than when I started, but we are way more effective, right?
Right.
And you mentioned your buyers, your pipeline. One of the hardest deals I ever closed on Garden and Mather Street. I moved this client from Garden and Mather to Windsor. He's on his second property. When I say he is better than Zillow or Realtor as far as leads, he has sent me like so many leads, and I'll never forget the deal was so hard. I had somebody saying, maybe you should just back out of the deal. And I said, no, I want to fight for this person, right? And since that person has closed, they have sent me so many referrals. So that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah. Your people are your treasures.
Yes. Had to clean that up.
No, I'm glad we escaped that safely.
Yeah.
So in asking these two how they met, I intended for us to get into our usual rhythm, which is, catching up, anything personal that relates to the way we succeed and the way we do business. Because it's not all just in the business, ironically. It's sometimes, if not most times, what we experience and live outside of the business that makes it work for us. So I wanted to truly ask, what is it that is your foundation? I asked this to Alex. I asked this to everybody. What's your foundation? What's been your drive that got you into real estate and then got you through real estate?
So it's a 3-part question. So my foundation is obviously God, right? Like it's like I wear it on my wrist. I got the Lion of Judah tattooed on my chest when I was like 19. I just dropped out. I didn't drop out of class. I skipped class that day. It was psychology class. I drove to a tattoo artist and I was like, tattoo this lion on my chest. It was more for like a Rastafarian religion, but later on I realized you just tattooed the second coming of Jesus Christ on your chest. Good luck. You're gonna go through some spiritual warfare. But as far as what got me into real estate, it was my uncle. So we went to Jamaica. And I'll never forget this. I was an underwriter, right? And the place that I was an underwriter at was going through a conversion. So they actually got bought out by another company, or they merged. And I was responsible for doing a lot of the conversions. And I was just over my head because when companies merge, like some people get pushed up, some people get fired. And sometimes you could be taking on a role like 4 or 5 people.
Right.
So I was just overworked and underpaid, but very happy for the opportunity. The lady who got me in there, strong Jamaican woman, fought for me to get in there, and it wasn't too many of us in there. So got in there, lasted almost 2 years. We went to Jamaica. I sat on Bob Marley's rock and I'm meditating. And then my uncle was like out of my meditation says, hey, you still work there? Why don't you try real estate? They're like, this is how much I made this month. And literally I came back from Jamaica and I put my 2 weeks in. And I told them, I said, hey, I'm going to get into real estate. And it was like crickets, because it was like real estate at that time was not pop. Like to leave a good underwriting job, health and benefits, you know, they were matching, all this stuff. That was big. And like, I remember the whole team huddle came around and there was a couple chuckles and stuff like real estate. Cause the way my manager phrased it, she said, he's leaving to become a real estate mogul. And it was a couple chuckles, but I still haven't reached that mogul status. Of course not. But it sits in the back of my head that, you know, it's possible. Yeah.
Hey, they manifested it.
Yes. Yeah.
They manifested it. So your uncle was actually an agent?
He's a broker now. His name Cornerstone Homes. He does a lot of business, a lot of flips. He's been in the business probably just about as long as I've been alive. So I did have that in my family. And then my grandfather came from Westmoreland, Jamaica, or as I say, West Milan, Jamaica. And he came here, I would say, I might get this wrong. He came here a while ago and he bought properties on Barber Street. The people who sold it to him at a good price right across from Kinney Park. He had like 4 6 families at one point. Wow. And then we sold those off. So that was like my first like initial intro into real estate as far as investing and landlording. I would see my grandfather leave and I would see him leave with a machete and a revolver. And I'm like, yo, is my grandfather a bounty hunter? No, he was a landlord.
That's crazy.
In a certain area at a certain time where it was very rough. And it was hard to be a landlord. And then I watched my uncle become a broker, and that inspired me. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it is hard to be a landlord. And the only thing harder than then as a landlord is now as a landlord after COVID. I have so many renters calling me like, my credit score is like 525
yeah.
and I need a place. And I'm trying to explain to them how there's no way I can help with that. And there's got to be some life changes. And they're looking at me crazy like credit doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it's important, obviously, in being a renter. And landlords, they may not go with machetes and revolvers, but they might as well these days.
Different time back then.
Yeah, the way, you know, hey, listen, I'm not knocking it. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. You know what I'm saying?
Different time back then.
Yeah. So wow. So you left lending to become an agent in one of the hardest times. 6 sales your first year. So
oh my God.
You might have touched about $1 million.
I think so. Yeah, I think I had $1 million my first year.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
or maybe just up under it. But I think I was there. I'm pretty sure. I would have to go check the MLS.
And what made you transition that into commercial real estate?
So commercial actually started sometime last year. And that's a great question. So what it was, I always wanted to be like that $1 million realtor who could walk in, loafers, you know, chilling, smell good, sell $1 million houses. You know, that's what we all wanted to be. And then I realized, okay, there is a market for that. And I feel like to do that, you have to be that or become that. But then I also realized there's people selling 6 families or 4 families in these commercial buildings and plazas. And they're still selling $1 million properties. You know, it's just on the commercial side. So I said, hey, why not increase your chances of being that $1 million realtor by working in commercial? And then I'll be honest with you, the people who own commercial buildings, I just gravitate towards them. Like the way their brain is wired and the way they think. I don't care if the person's 80 years old or 20 years old, we always connect, right? On the commercial side. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was a good one. Yeah. That was a good one.
What do you think that is?
I would say entrepreneurial mindset, the go-getter mindset, the self-starter mindset, and let's be honest, like not like your broker right now is doing work on a commercial building.
Right.
Like there's like sweat equity. There's a lot of grit that goes into these commercial buildings. And I just feel like, oh man, I don't know. You would think that somebody who has $1 million buildings would kind of be stuck up, but they just tend to be super down to earth. Yeah. Yeah.
So, do you think that answered the original question?
Yes. Just to recap, God is my foundation, and it was my grandfather and my uncle that that put the drivers in me. Yeah.
Okay. All right. No, that's a good answer.
Yeah.
So what do you get up to these days? Now we know where you started. And where are you now?
As far as like sales,
Well, sales is included.
Yeah.
But personal motivations.
personal motivation. So where I am right now, who's motivating me right now? Oh, wow. That's a great question. So, of course, I watched all the videos that realtors watch with, man, I can't even think his name. He's like so known with Fury.
It's there.
It's,
That's an REI.
is that I hope I don't say the wrong name. I can't remember his name. I don't want to say the wrong name, but yeah.
What's the name of this channel?
Man, he's super known, but like a lot of realtors started with him. But no, you know what? I will answer that question differently. So there was this, and I probably shouldn't even say this because this is a real estate podcast, but this is all about property.
No, yeah, we bought everything.
There was this wholesaler by the name of Max Maxwell. Because before I got my real estate license, I wanted to be a wholesaler. And he was a big inspiration for me just on how he would find properties, flip properties, do subject twos, do wholesales, do buy and hold. So he was a big driver. He was younger too, in his 30s, Jamaican guy. He was a very big inspiration to me too. Yeah.
Awesome.
But now, to be honest with you, I mean, I might watch like Owning Manhattan or Selling Manhattan on Netflix a little bit, just to get that outlandish, right? Just to get that outlandish, and then I may like get inspired by a local investor from Hartford, right? Who came to this country and built it brick by brick, like. So it's both ends of the spectrum. Yeah.
So you're looking at the Sirhan, or what's his last name? Ryan?
I like Ryan Sirhan.
Ryan's agents?
I do, because his story speaks to me. Like when he says, when he first started, he was selling like shacks in Chinatown, and just his go-getter mentality, and it's just something about him that I wouldn't say look up to, but I get inspired by.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you said you kind of temperature check it by doing the looking at the 30 millions, and then you got the maybe the 1 to like 500,000s back here.
Yeah, back at home. Or some of my clients. So I have clients that bought their first property in their 20s, and now they're buying commercial buildings.
Nice.
You know, or I have clients that barely speak English and they're on their like fourth property, and I'm like, I need to get my stuff together, right? Because when we first started, I almost didn't want to work with you. Now you're showing me how to handle finances. So, yeah.
So then I kind of, as someone who is probably further down the road that I want to be on, right?
Yeah.
What do you?
You're right there.
I guess this really connects back into what's your present motivator? What is your idea of that way? Because you've got inspirations, you've got pre-existing models, whether it's on a small or a big scale. But what is it that you think is your journey? What's your path? And you don't got to give the recipe away. Of course not. But give them a little idea of, well, look, I think that I'm focusing on the finance side of commercial to maybe break into real estate acquisitions on a larger big box retail kind of side of things. So what is that? What's that? No, like that. Process. Wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
There it is. It's coming.
So, I would honestly say, can you repeat the question? No, I'm joking. I would say on the residential side, I do want to do my own flips, right? And I've met realtors who've gotten into the flip side and the investment side, and I am inspired by that. On the commercial side, I would love to develop something, right? So I've ran into commercial people who were developers and builders, and just the fact that you could see, excuse me, about this ginger ale. Just the fact, what'd you say?
Getting them.
It's getting me. Just the simple fact that they could just see a piece of land and build something. And even if you pass away, like your name could still be on that. You could pass that on to your family. That is like, whoa, right? Like legacy, basically. And I would say empowering clients, because I used to make a joke with clients. I would say, hey, I have to make you a millionaire, because if I make 10 clients a millionaire and I have this crazy idea or I need a loan one day, I could go to you guys and not the bank.
Investors.
Yeah.
How important is cold calling to this process? Because we've been on a little stint here at the brokerage, trying to get back into our cold calling, buying these different lists from different companies to try to do it. You seem to have the formula for that, especially in commercial property. How important is that to a realtor's development, cold calling, and how consistent do they need to be?
I would say this. So cold calling when you're first starting off is something that you absolutely have to do. I look at cold calling as like, let's say you're a basketball player or you want to be a professional athlete. Like cold calling is like getting your jump shots up, right? Because you're blindly calling people. You don't know what you're going to get, but it's going to train you how to deal with objections. It's going to help you prospect. And another thing too with cold calling is when I bought my first property, it came from a cold call. So as a realtor, you're like, you have access to so much information before other people get it. And if you could call that person, you never know, that property could be a flip for you or an investment for you. Or let's say your client is like, oh, I can't find a 2-family in Windsor, right? From your calls, you could maybe have 2 or 3 people who said, yeah, if you bring me a buyer, boom, 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 right? So now you appear to your client as someone that's just not showing them stuff that's on market. You are showing them stuff that's on market, that's coming to market, something that may be off market, right? But we're still going to close it under the MLS transaction. But what I'm saying is cold calling is just going to build up your level of communication, your level of dealing with objections. Now, do I cold call every day? No, I do not. But what I am starting to do is prospect every day. So if I drive by a house, I may write down. It's getting to the point where I could look at a house and I'm like, they're probably going to sell in a little bit. I'll write it down. Maybe I'll send them a piece of mail. Maybe I'll call them, make that initial contact, and follow up with them. But I've also met realtors who do way more transactions than I. I mean, they make like $100,000 to $150,000 a month, and they don't cold call at all. But they've been in the business for a while and they are community based, right? So they're involved in the school system, they're involved in the community, and they get fed leads in a sense.
Their name rings bells.
Ding, 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 ding.
And that's important. That's one of the things we try to work on and set up here as well. You have to have, for marketing, and a lot of people, like we said before, anyone can pass that test. You study and you're someone who's great at test taking, you can pass the real estate exam, no problem. Yeah. So in a sense, anyone can become a realtor. But once you get that license, the actual action behind it, prospecting and marketing yourself, is a completely different ball game that none of that course tells you about. So we are never knocking realtors in general or trying to make it seem like this profession is easy to get into. No, it's that the general requirements for entering the profession are not difficult if you have a strong mind about you. But once you get into the industry, to actually act as is a completely different ball game. There's a lot of things the course doesn't even touch on as far as what you do on a daily basis, and following through in the transaction. It's really just the laws of real estate.
Can I say one thing that the course doesn't touch on?
Please do.
Human psychology. Like, you're gonna learn that yourself. The course is very focused on legality in terms and definitions, and but when you get out there in the field, like, knowing how to read the room is important. Knowing how to, okay, maybe I'm being too much for my client. knowing how to work with a husband and wife who's having a baby or who's going through a divorce, or knowing how to be gentle around somebody who just passed away and now they're selling the house. Like, they don't teach you these things in the course, right? They teach you more about legality. Yeah.
Yeah. Estate sales. But
Yeah.
on the note of estate sales, we're not going to actually get into them. I was messing around. So I wanted to.
My reaction was just like, are you going through something right now? Yeah. I checked out estate property today. That's why. Yeah.
So, okay, fine. Yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it then. We're going to do it. You guys want to do it? Let's do it. Estate sales.
So really quick, estate sales, I mean, really, with the estate sales, at one point, I think that was a great way to get a deal. But now I feel like a lot of estate sales are kind of priced more, like they're priced for the market. They're not really amazing deals, but you will run into certain things, like maybe the house is not kept up. Maybe the person could have been a hoarder or something like that. And you just got to kind of navigate through all of that. But then, even when you do get your offer accepted, you have to get, if it's probate, you have to get that probate approval, and that could be a little bit of a process. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely hear that there's a lot more loopholes involved with estate sales.
Yeah.
Whether it's from you or from your clients, and there's a lot that has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But before we went to estate sales, I'm going to pivot us anyways, unless you had a question, Ryan. You had okay. Since we seemingly did this in an interview fashion, I want it to be reversed. Do you have questions for myself and Ryan?
I actually do, right? So what inspired you to start a real estate podcast?
You want me to answer?
Yeah, I do. You're the leader of the podcast, Romano.
Well, interestingly enough, the answer to that question lies in an answer you gave earlier, where you said there's multiple kinds of successful realtors. One of them is a community realtor. I decided that in order for us to expand our brand identity that is Prefect Realty, I wanted to do a podcast that told the perspective of Prefect Realty. Hence the Prefect Perspective podcast. It became a platform I could use to build the community that we have on all our social media all our social media accounts. So I have a few accounts, whether it's my Realtor page on Facebook, Realtor page on Instagram, my Realtor TikTok account, which is kind of like a semi-personal one.
I'm gonna make sure I follow all of that.
Nice.
I think I follow your TikTok.
There's nothing on it.
My TikTok was super confusing. Like, my TikTok was like all about God. Like, you were like,
We ain't mad at you, yo. Yeah. And he'll deliver.
right, he'll deliver you.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, basically, yeah. So it's my way of responding to the fact that the brokerage, as small and mighty as it might be, lacked what it would be called as a personality in a business. I wanted to use this podcast to generate a social media traction, not only for myself, but the whole brokerage. So I wanted every agent in here to be involved. They could bring on their own guests. We could bring on our guests. We could do whatever we'd like with this podcast because it's to fill in the blank. So you type in Prefect Realty, I wanted this podcast to pop up, and I wanted it to be, I'm dealing with Colleen. I could just scroll through. I see the episode with Colleen. Boop. Colleen and an appraiser.
Yeah.
See what a Colleen's about.
Yeah.
See what Colleen really does with her clients, what she says at least, and then when you meet her, it's a additional, feature to her personality that you will be like, okay, now I understand. I feel more close. I feel closer to Colleen.
This is like the best business card.
Exactly. And for me, I just tagged along. It's one of those aspects which was going to be the next thing I said. That's why I asked you about cold calling, because whether we're a new agent or we've been in it for a few years and we're just trying to expand our market, it's important to be seen in many different ways. So a social media presence, when you're outside, just greeting people and letting them know what you do. If you're in other businesses, you mention it to your clients, and even the cold calling. All of it is important. Fabian, our broker, was big on us about establishing a social media presence, because between his social media seminars he'd run for first-time home buyers, and he's done investor seminars, pension for properties and things of that nature, we use the social media as a tool, and I always believe in as many tools as you can have. So we put a bag in for that, to use this as a way, yes, for people to be identified with us and to even give information. There's so many people who are, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but ignorant to real estate and how things work. So many people in the inner community who fear home buying. So this is a platform for us to speak to them if we can't get to them individually, and let them know what the process is like, and that is not difficult per se. Of course, we have our difficult transactions, and as realtors, we said it before, once that contract is signed, job's not done.
Exactly.
Right? You have to follow through and make sure that the process is being taken care of, that lenders, lawyers, inspectors, everyone is on their job. You are the delegate for your client, and you're making sure that the whole process is good. So just to give this type of information, this is how we got here.
So basically, you guys are gonna get to the point where it's not a cold call. If the podcast, like overall, if the podcast gets big enough, it would be like an honor to receive a call from you, right?
I'm not gonna say it all. Yes, that would be.
It might be a little bit of a prophetic statement, but I feel like this is the best business card, because if I was just buying a property and I watched you guys and I wanted to work with somebody, why would I want to work with you guys, right? Like the fact that you even put the effort into having a podcast, having on other realtors, I would most definitely work with you. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys definitely went into greater detail, but
Yeah.
ultimately that was a part of it, and it's beyond just the full episodes themselves, because again, social media exists in multiple ways. There's a consumption of media, and then there's the hyper consumption of media.
Oh,
so there's two tracks that I aim to hit.
I'm trying to stop it. Yeah. Oh my God, it's bad.
So what I do with these episodes is I usually just auto cut them, because I don't have all the time in the world to edit as much as I'd like.
Yeah.
And I auto cut them, and I make it as close to entertaining as possible, and I release those auto cut shorts in mass. So our YouTube video, our YouTube channel, most of our views come through shorts, because this is like a year-old podcast. We're not going to get 1 million views. We do if I run ads. Not otherwise.
Yeah, but you know what I found out with the ads, because like before I even got into real estate, I was like little local artist producing and all that stuff, and I would put out like YouTube videos and music videos, and I noticed the ads will give you that big pop, but there was always like a drop off where I feel like, and I could be wrong, I'm like, is YouTube shadow banning me because I'm not continuously paying for ads, right? Versus like more of an organic audience, right? Do you agree or disagree?
No, I don't disagree. I think that you hit the nail on the head. And since I've messed with a lot of the advertising side of everything, whether it's Facebook or YouTube, what I've noticed, and I've done research on what other people have noticed, is that it's just that there was never anything in the first place. So when YouTube sends your views out, they farm it to countries like Thailand, Vietnam, etc. You get high clicks, high views, because there might be view farms in those countries. So when they pick up on your thing, like it just explodes. But those are not going to be the people who sit down and consume. If you run ads in the US though,
or subscribe.
Right. No, you actually will get a good amount of subscribers even from them. But again, it's people who won't necessarily come back and consume.
Gotcha.
If you run your ads in the US, it's going to cost a lot more.
Yes, it will.
But there's a higher chance of you retaining those who come. It won't necessarily be all of them.
No.
And that's the challenge. The organic method, as you kind of mentioned, is to then really put in time and effort. You need to put in time into your content, into your titling, into your thumbnailing, and even that won't really net you a return. What really will, though, is getting people interested where they are. And what I noticed is that our YouTube channel does completely fine organically through shorts. So I cut everything up in bulk. Like I said before, usually every episode will give us 30 to like 40 clips, and I have that going out throughout a month. And since we started, I've seen a lot more comments, likes, and traction. Every 4 videos I put out, at least 3 of them will get to 1K in views on shorts.
Wow.
But when it comes to the video itself, without any ads, without anything, it might cap off at 50. But again, that's first year on a channel nobody knows about.
You know who's going through this right now?
Who?
Ashton Hall.
Oh, yeah.
his shorts make a lot of money. I know that sounds weird. I didn't mean it like that. But his YouTube shorts make a lot of money. Hey, yo, right? Told you guys, my last name's Pryor. I got some jokes. So his YouTube shorts get a lot of views, but when he puts out like long form videos, they don't get that many views.
Right. And I think that's just the obvious. Again, it's also his content too. It's just like, it's not really the content that somebody would sit down and watch, because just as much as he has supporters, he's got haters.
Hey, whatever brings
I'm
traction.
no one here, a lot of people would not sit down and just watch Ashton Hall run after a car for 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's got to be short. It's ASMR.
It's a dopamine hit, to be honest. I don't want to call everybody zombie.
Yo.
But it's a dopamine hit. But even just to backtrack real quick, though, the shorts are beneficial for the YouTube channel, but also for everybody else. So whatever shorts I get of Ryan, I generally try to share the project with him, and he can pull and just share those out. Same with everybody else. So whether you're sitting at home twiddling your thumbs, you're going to get content from something that you sat down and did for like an hour, 2 hours.
Nothing bad. And Romano is doing all the work, so shout out to him. And the way he learned about the organic versus the ads is he did invest a lot of money for our pod to get where it is. When you look, we're like over 13,000 subscribers, over 300,000 views, almost 400. But a lot of that came out of his pockets. And we don't, as much as we appreciate the subscribers, we want to do it organically. So when you find traction in something like the shorts, which I find a lot of people are successful through that. Shout out my boy 607 Unk, one of my favorite podcasters. We're going to have you on here talking about some financial literacy, acting up one day, hopefully. But I found him through shorts and seeing him saying crazy stuff like, I sacrificed my son and stuff like that. So when you have something that just grabs people, pause, and then you put that out there like that, it's gonna flow. And as Fabian says, most people don't have a lot of attention span, so they don't want to watch a 45-minute podcast. So when you have a short of like 30 seconds, a minute, something like that, and it's got interesting content, it's gonna flow.
It's gonna pop.
Right. So I think that in saying that, just to kind of add to what you said, I think that the next vision level of this is to continuously have professionals like yourself on, so we can then build kind of a corner for our own on the internet. I mean, I know that there's methods that work, like the technique of clip farming. In fact, watch a video of
Oh, yes.
what was his name? We didn't watch the Dame Dash clip because we were talking about him in the pod. So we put down his phone towards the camera and we watched the clip, and I just ran the audio back on production end.
Got you.
That video on TikTok did 100,000 views.
Wow.
So it's not the same.
Start getting paid on TikTok for that? If you don't want to answer,
I mean, he might as well.
yeah.
No. I unfortunately didn't start getting paid, but like, again, the idea is that we could review and talk about popular content as it relates to real estate to make it an avenue, but that's not what we chose to do. So I really wanted to stick to getting professionals on here and showing not only their personal interests in humanizing them, but also getting their expertise out there.
Yeah, what you're doing is more of a long-term, like you're going to build more of a solid fan base. I think the other form is more of like what's on trend. And then, like you said in the beginning, you would have to be a little more controversial. So what will happen with this, right? Obviously, I would want to get a great clip of myself talking with the microphone, looking great. Hey, what's up? And then I would put it on my Instagram. The people who have closed with me or realtors who have worked with me will say, oh, that's Alexander. Boom, boom, boom. They'll check you guys out, and then now you'll get more subscribers. I had to tone that down. I was going to say something crazy.
Let it flow.
I had to tone it down.
And again, that's beyond the second phase that I was imagining, but it encompasses the network that is social media.
Yeah.
So as we put stuff out, not only will it help us, it'll help everybody that comes to us, because you're going to be now going worldwide to Ryan, the People's Realtors fan base. Wider than he himself knows. It's going to go out on my social media. It's going to go out on the brokerage's social media as we reshare and support each other. So no matter what it is, anyone in this room and anyone who gets the content is just going to be working for us.
How long have y'all both been doing real estate for? You might have told me, right?
Off the head? 3 to 4 years.
So I'm like 4 to 5 years.
You guys carry yourself like you've been doing this. Like, you guys carry yourself like brokers. Do you know that? Like, the simple fact that you even have this podcast set up, you have other realtors on here. Like, do you know where you're going to be in like 10, 15 years from now, 20 years from now with this? This is crazy.
You actually are the first agent from outside this brokerage to be on the podcast. So
Oh, whoa.
Thank you.
Yes,
very much.
Well, I'll sign the NDA.
You know what I'm saying? Not even worry about it. But
yeah.
I talk about it all the time, how it's important to know that we're peers, that we're working together in this industry. Even if you're competing on a property with another agent, you know, it's still, we're working together. I tell clients this when I'm doing rentals. And basically I say, listen, my reputation is everything in this industry because these are my peers. So I can't call them and say, or it's bad business for me to call and say, hey, I got this client who loves this place. They're really interested. And then you never even fill out the application because you just go left and you think it's fine because you're not at work. But I'm a professional and I could be dealing with this person later on a listing side where I'm bringing a buyer to the table and they don't take me seriously because of something I've done in the past.
So I'll speak on that a little bit. And with you know, 8 years of real estate, being 35 and looking like how I look, I've experienced a lot. And let's just say, I would say one of the things that God has blessed me with is like people just show me their true colors without even knowing it, right? And there's been instances where things have been, in my opinion, just so unethical in a sense, or just like it puts something in your mind where you're like, okay, when I see this again, I have to defend myself or put up a wall. And being a man of color in real estate, we are very mindful how we negotiate and interact. Excuse me, knowing that our brand and word of mouth is everything. So there are times where in negotiation, I'm not only thinking about the fiduciary responsibility that I have on my client, but I'm also thinking about if I run into this realtor again down the road, right? And whether they like me or not, they're going to respect me and know that I go hard for my clients, right? But I do it the right way. And I think that will build so much respect for you in the future. So I like what you said.
Yeah. Wow, it was great.
Yeah.
So I think that we hit a lot of what we wanted to talk about.
We were politically correct.
Throughout the whole process.
We were very politically correct. We started off with the commission change, which was big. That's a big one. But yeah, I think we were very politically correct. But I honestly, if there was no camera rolling and we had some spirits, maybe I would open up a little bit more.
So, hopefully this won't be your last time on the podcast, Alex. There you go. I highly appreciate you taking the time out, you know, as we just first meeting to come and take time here at our brokerage and get to see what we're about. Like, one of my other big questions for you before we wrap it up, and I hope this ain't too spicy. You said one of your uncles was a broker.
He's a broker, yeah.
Or is a broker, but you work under who? Coldwell Banker. So,
Yo, this guy.
what's up with that, Alex?
God, what kind of question?
He got
Yeah.
the receipts.
So I did. So my uncle's an excellent broker, by the way, right? Been doing it for a long time. Taught me a lot. Is probably the reason why I'm even sitting in this seat. And I will say I did work with my uncle for 1 year. And I will say this, right? All I told him was, I want you to be my uncle and not my broker. And the reason for that was I love my uncle so much, but not speaking towards him per se, but what I've run into are realtors who become brokers, not speaking about him, but they become brokers because they close a lot of transactions. But closing a lot of transactions is like being that person on the team that scores a lot of points. But then you have that person who can score points, defend, and make their teammates better.
Right.
And there are brokers who are excellent brokers, but they probably won't close as many transactions. There are brokers who close a lot of transactions, but maybe they don't know how to manage personalities or inspire people, right? So I actually had a conversation with another realtor who had a team and let the team go because his frustration was getting people to show up for themselves. And if you're a self-starter and you grind and you've been through a lot in life, you will get frustrated dealing with adults who don't want to show up for themselves, right? So my uncle was neither or none of that. It was just his style of real estate was different than mine at the time. Like, I wanted to be like the cookie cutter realtor, right? But what he was showing me how to deal with banks, how to deal with REO, how to deal with flips, how to deal with short sales, how to deal with hard money. So I needed that for a blip, but I didn't need that to be my entire MO. I just needed to add that to my repertoire for myself as an investor or future developer is what I want to be, right? Yeah.
One other thing with that. So then at one point you moved to Coldwell. Now here
Keller Williams, then Coldwell.
Keller Williams, then Coldwell.
Yeah.
So here, because we are a smaller brokerage,
Yeah.
sometimes we smack up on these larger brokerages and say how, our broker Fabian is being so attentive to us.
Yeah.
He's both of what you said. He's a very aggressive real estate agent, but he also takes the time out to give us training, to put together the right team to the point where we mesh really well.
Yes.
And we have our meetings. Certain people show up, certain people who don't, but the ones that do, we passionately help each other and grow together. What are the major positives to being with a big brokerage like that? Once you were how long were you at Keller Williams for?
I was at Keller Williams for like 5 years.
Okay. So what would you say are the positives and negatives, say, of being in that bigger brokerage atmosphere? Maybe why, and not the most direct way, did you even leave there now to come here? And is this what you would want it to be in a brokerage?
So I'll say this, KW is great. KW, like, if you are just starting and getting into real estate, or let's say you're at a point in your life where you worked another job, now you want to get into real estate, KW is great because they have so many resources and classes. Like, they have a class every single day, right? Like, if you just show up at KW, you will be successful. The only reason why I left KW was because of the broker that was there for like 30-something years left. And I was spoiled. I went to a big brokerage where the broker treated it like it was a small brokerage. And you could call this dude, you could call him, you could email him. He taught me how to write my first contract. I'll never forget. Like, I was sweating, I was nervous, and he just kind of tapped me on the shoulder and was just like, come on, you got this. And we went through line. And I was embarrassed too, right? Because he was like very straightforward, kind of aggressive, but I think he was just going off my personality. And that taught me so much. And going to Coldwell, right? That broker has similar characteristics to where if I text him right now, he'll text me back, right? And I am not the top agent there makes $1 million in commission, right? So I'm far from that. But he sees something in me and kind of treats me like, I see where you're going to go. And you remind me a lot of, he said you remind me a lot of me when I was younger and all that stuff. But I just feel like the reason why I like Coldwell, right, is because, remember, before I got into real estate, I was in the corporate world. I was an underwriter, right? I was in that corporate environment. Coldwell, for some reason, reminds me a little bit of that, but just on the real estate side. And I actually like that, where some people don't like it. Some people like more of the family-oriented, right? But I like, so there was times when I would cold call and I would say the brokers there would go, who? And then now when I say the brokers, they go, oh, I think Friday would work. But it's not about the brokerage, it's about the realtor, in my opinion. Like, you could be at Hamburger Realty and kill it, right? If you can be at what's like Ryan Serhant and be a drop in a bucket, right? You know? So it's all about the person, right? Not so much the brokerage.
Yeah. No, and that's a great note to end it on. So hopefully we get a part 2 with you in attendance.
A part 2.
Yeah, at some point. I mean, I think year 2, we're going to really try to ramp up our features. So you're going to get a call. Yeah. Hopefully you answer.
Yes.
In a similar fashion to your broker.
I don't feel like always picking up the phone.
Yeah, my man was like half dead, still answering.
Oh, can we speak on that?
Of course, let him know, brother.
So the showing that I did with Ryan, I don't know if it was the neurovirus or whatever. I was full flu, bro. Like, when I say my body was on fire, but y'all energy, like, calmed me down. Because you have to understand, like, I've been in that. So we've had offers on that building from investors, but like investors who are buying that building, they have a certain type of energy, right? And they're very aggressive and they're very straightforward and they say how they feel. And sometimes they can say some wild stuff. But when you guys came, it was like, we're building a church. And I was like, hallelujah, right? I was like, cleanse this place, right? We might have to cut that out because for my viewers. But you guys' energy was just amazing, and I was super sick that day. Yeah, I feel a lot better though. You can still hear it a little bit. Right?
And he's still packing some. We Lysoling the whole place down when he leaves.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah. So thank you for everybody who came in to watch, who will be watching, or who potentially is considering scrolling past this video. Don't do that. If you made it this far, you made it to the end. So thank you for watching again. Ryan, you got anything for the people?
Hey, this is Romano the Realtor, and I'm Realty Ryan. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Prefect Perspective, and thank you again, Mr. Alex Pryor.
Appreciate you. God bless you both. I'm very happy to be here, and hopefully I'll be back. Yes.
Next time there'll be alcohol.